Virgos, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for November 21st to the 27th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this channel is about using the actual constellations in the sky known as Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different, which means your sign might be different, and you'll want to watch this for the right sign. All right, so Virgo this week, more things changing. It's been a very impactful month, even last month. Very impactful time of the year. And so this week is no exception to that. Let's go ahead and have a look at what we've got. Essentially, right at the beginning, coming into this week, we are going to be in the third quarter phase, which is about initiating some things, taking some steps. And I think the steps you might be taking is what came to you about a week ago during the full moon. So during that time, Monday of last week, there was this awareness, this insight, and now this week it's about implementing some of this stuff and taking those steps. So that's coming into the week. Now also at the beginning of the week, we do have the sun shifting into Scorpio. So there's a shift of focus, and I think it's going more into your third house. So the third house is about learning. It's about the practical side to life, usually practical type of knowledge and learning. Maybe you could be reading books. Some of you focused on that could be a great source of energy. Maybe some of you writing books can be a great source of energy, or just sharing your ideas. Maybe it's on the internet, writing, that kind of a thing. And also too, I think just exchanging, just having more of a willingness to exchange ideas or just exchange things in general in your life. So it could be the marketplace, could be, communication, focusing on the importance of that. So that's the shift of focus, but it's already been an area of emphasis. You've had Mercury here. So this is good for the mind. Again, a good, comfortable place. Maybe the career and all this is going through a more synergistic or intellectual or communicative time period, which can be good. And Saturn's been in here really helping you build your communication, your mind, and all of these things you could be working on a practical level for the long term, for the big picture. And I think really taking this stuff seriously. Building the communication, learning about the importance of that, building the mind, learning the importance of practical knowledge and practical insight. Okay, so very powerful. And continuous new beginnings. We are going to have the next new moon in this third house next week as well. So that's the shift of focus. A lot of concentration there in the third house. Mercury is going to be sextiling up to Jupiter, your ruler Mercury. So this is, maybe you guys are feeling a bit inspired this early part of the week. All right, and this is kind of already the case because you got Jupiter in your first house. So a lot of you should be expanding your horizons a bit right now, or at least becoming maybe a bit independent, feeling like you can cultivate your personal needs, or you can tap into that adventurous spirit of life. And it could even be emphasizing, lately, we're talking the past few months at least, emphasizing the home life, family life, your health, and also to your relationships. These are all positive things, and I think this Tuesday could be positive for those things. Again, independence, your personal life, maybe relationships. Also good positive energy coming into the whole communication sector and intellectual sector as well. Then as we get into Wednesday, Mercury then conjoins up to Saturn, again emphasizing that there is this new chapter. And so for you, it's a chapter of discipline. It's a chapter of patience. It's a chapter of building these long-term things. And it might have to do with, again, the communicative intellectual side of life. It might even have to do with your career, right? A new chapter there about how you can build that in the long term. And if it's not career, it could be anything productive or your legacy or your public life. These are all 10th house things. But that kind of productive energy really building. But I think most fundamentally what's happening, because Mercury's your ruler, is that it's a really good time to be patient, to see the long-term picture, and really build everything that you're wanting to build with those personal needs, your goals, your aspirations, one step at a time. And the more willing you are to limit the short-term gains for the long-term gains, that kind of a thing, and the energy and the time management and all that that's required for that, it can be a very positive thing. I think over the coming months, because this is a solar cyclical thing once every year, roughly you have this conjunction with Saturn unless Mercury goes retrograde. And so it's the new chapter, and it's the new chapter here of building. Building here, I think most fundamentally, your perspective, your mind, opening up to treating life as a learning process, a learning playground where you can share information, learn information, exchange. Some of you might be involved with trading or the marketplace. Maybe it's a course or learning, reading, writing, those types of things. Okay, so very positive there. It's certainly a new beginning for you Virgos. And then right after that, we do have Jupiter squaring up to Pluto, which does suggest this very deep change that's occurring, although it may not come across as deep because Jupiter tends to kind of keep a buoyancy about it. It could be over optimistic, or then could be resting on our laurels. You know, sometimes Jupiter does swing a bit, but if you are willing to see things deeply this week and make some deep changes, I think you're certainly getting on the right side of this aspect. Okay, in other words, you're really seeing it for what it is, because it's supposed to be a week of deep change. And so the change is with you, again, Jupiter in the first house. The change is with your home life, perhaps, or your health. Okay, and the changes are with your relationships. Okay, these are all the key areas that Jupiter rules. And so, again, the more willing you are to dive deep, make some fundamental changes, especially because Pluto's down at the bottom of your chart. There's already been changes with your roots, your home life, or your health, or your emotional state and your emotional being. And so the more willing you are to dive deep to see if there's any fears here, any inhibitions, anything that's preventing you from making the change that you want to see. It's about being aware of it, accepting that we have those fears. And then once we've accepted them, they no longer have power over us. And then we can make the change we want to see. So it's a week of making the change you want to see. But I think the challenge with all of this is initiating it. Because sometimes, again, Jupiter can blur it. There can be over-optimism about it, and then we're not actually really doing the real change. We're doing something else. Or we're being, again, under-optimistic, which could be more of just, lethargic about it, feeling like, oh, yeah, we'll get to that next week. But we want to make the change this week. And I think, if you're feeling guided to do that, I think listening to that inner guidance is the most important thing. Diving deep, making those changes, maybe with your roots, maybe with yourself, maybe even too with relationships. I think you'll find some positive results from that. Then directly after that, Venus does go over Pluto, again emphasizing the changes with the roots, but Venus rules a couple other key areas. She rules your second house of your values, and she also rules your ninth house of your belief systems. So your values are changing. This is a positive time to make some changes with those. And this could be very material, like your finances, your resources. But I think it's all coming from this fundamental change, which is about your self-reliance or your sense of self-worth or your self-esteem. Feeling like, yes, you can cultivate your values. You can make these changes here. Okay, so that's the fundamental, but it could result in, as it takes time. But this conjunction is a new chapter in many ways about making change with your values and your resources. Then the other side to it is your belief system, seeing what's possible. Maybe tapping into that adventurous spirit a bit. Can be very revolutionary, very, it can change in a positive way. But it does require, again, depth, diving deep, seeing how there might be some things preventing us from making the change, and accepting those things. Usually it's fundamental is fear or wanting to control, which is, again, another result of fear. But whatever it is, making the change once we've done that inner work. All right, so very impactful week there with all these aspects with Pluto. But then as we get into the weekend, Mercury does turn up to Uranus. So your ruler, again, maybe going into this weekend, you could be feeling like there's something new or different. It's exciting, maybe. Maybe it has to do with relationships. But maybe it's just mixing up the routine a bit. And maybe you're just feeling maybe there's some ideas about your career that you can be implementing. Again, all part of this constructive new beginning there. Okay, so a good weekend for opening your mind, trying something new and different, whether it's quite literally or just some ideas, throwing them around, or maybe with relationships, whatever that might be. But there might be some healing along with that, which is very natural, very normal. This is Chiron. It's all very subjective. It doesn't reflect in the external environment as much. So accepting that we have some wounds, very natural. Do the inner healing. Again, might have to do with relationships, might have to do with career, might have to do with you fundamentally. And again, the confidence in all this. But as you do the healing work, you're going to find that it's rejuvenating you, it's refreshing you. And yes, it can be a very transformational weekend in that regard of feeling healed. And this weekend too, I do want to mention, we will be in the balsamic phase, which is the lowering of energy time. So even though you can be mixing things up, it's good to listen. It's good to reflect a bit, maybe get some alone time, rest up, because again, the new beginnings are around the corner next week. All right, so Virgo, that's the week in a nutshell. The way I would sum this up is the shift of focus, certainly, into your intellectual and communicative side to life. Great energy to be gained here. I think there's already been a focus on it, but now you get the boost of the sun, helping you get some awareness about it. You're building it long-term this week. Patience, persistence really goes a long way with Mercury and Saturn. There's still possibilities for you to expand your horizons and see potentials in your life. Maybe that independence could be strong, which could be a positive thing, but it might require some deep change, some fundamental changes, and it might have to do with your roots, right? And the emotional body and doing that cleansing and clearing. But as a result, yes, there's also new things shaping up with your personal life from that. Could be home, could be family, could be health, but also too with your value sector and also expanding your horizons a bit. All right, so very impactful week. Virgos, I hope you have a fantastic one. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll see you next week.